Are you booking a last-minute trip and trying to pick the right airline? We are here to help. First on CBS Mornings, the Points Guy is revealing his 9th annual Best Airlines report, and topping the list for the 7th consecutive year is Delta.
Whoa.
But United is coming up close behind. Southwest, Alaska, and Hawaiian Airlines rounded out the top 5. Points Guy founder and CEO Brian Kelly joins us now to detail this report. Brian, so great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Why'd you put Delta #1? And when you say best, break down how you're ranking these things.
Yeah, and this is not just my personal decision. Everyone has their personal favorite airline, but people always ask us, which is better? And there are factors that we look at. #1 is reliability. When you buy airfare, you need to get to where you're going. So we give a huge amount of our 30% to reliability. #2 is passenger experience. There are airlines making it more enjoyable to fly.
So it's more than on-time arrival.
It's more than that. Yeah, we also look at the passenger experience. Family seating policies. Is this airline nice? Do they give free changes? We also look at cost and reach. We want airlines that are, people still want a good deal.
Yeah.
So we give...
Yes.
We do score based on that. And of course, we're the points guys. So a quarter of our results are based on loyalty. How valuable is the loyalty program? Transparent? Can you use those miles? So we blend all of that to have our own unique ranking.
But Delta won again, even after they had that big kerfuffle where people were really pissed at Delta. Big software
I was
glitch.
caught up in that kerfuffle
Yeah,
last
so
July. They had a
Tony,
vendor
you were too.
meltdown that stranded their pilots. The whole scheduling system was out of
came
whack.
in number
But it's
one.
notable that they pulled it together and they score very strongly across the board. They were still the most reliable on-time airline in America, so that is definitely what's helping America.
United
Delta.
#2, coming for Delta. Everybody's coming for Delta. What's your
Everyone's-
advice for people who are coming for Delta? United in particular, because they jumped on the list a couple
And
points.
United has some momentum for next year. They just announced a partnership with JetBlue, which is going to increase their loyalty rankings. Because when you have these partnerships, it gives loyalty members more chance to earn and redeem. However, United is dealing with the Newark issues, and United had an outsized impact. And that, Delta's meltdown last year was basically a weekend. This Newark situation with air traffic, the runway down, that has been weighing on United. So will that weigh it down enough, or could it actually leap over Delta next year? And we're not even, halfway through the year.
Do you you fly a lot? You feel okay flying into Newark?
I would absolutely fly into Newark. I think the runway's open that was under construction. It is safe. So hopefully.
Okay, so Southwest, they jumped up a couple of
Yeah.
spots. How did their changes recently? I think they had baggage fees and they're selling assigned seats.
My mom was hot under the collar about this.
Yeah,
This is her favorite airline.
A lot of people are, and Southwest scored a lot for cost and reliability because they had the lowest fees. But mind you, this survey was of 2024 total numbers.
Okay.
It takes a couple months to get those in. That's why So will Southwest retain that #3 spot with all these fees? They're trying to be a legacy carrier, but they don't have a lot of the perks and they have no lounges. So a lot of the other things that we score for.
I didn't realize that. Yeah, you're right.
So Southwest, what it had going for them was reliability and low fees. They got rid of the low fees, so there's a lot that goes into the survey.
Right.
I'm not so sure that they'll have enough going for it.
Traveling for the summer, we just did a story the other day about people getting hit with super soakers because people are saying, don't come here, tourists. What do you think about traveling overseas?
I get this a lot. A lot of people also say, as Americans, we shouldn't travel now. Everyone hates us. That is a little crazy. I would say most people can separate governments versus actual travelers. But to your point, over-tourism is an issue. Last summer it was super soakers in Barcelona. This year, Venice is under a lot of stress and there are protesters. So I would just remind people, still travel, but there's so many amazing destinations out there.
Yeah.
Italy's beautiful, but it's super crowded. And I personally don't want to hang out with a bunch of Americans when I go to Europe. So there are other places. Croatia's amazing.
I heard Croatia's amazing.
Yeah, Montenegro. Spread the love and your tourism.
All right, but most people don't even have a passport. So talk to me about places I can get to with my real ID, okay?
Yeah, so domestically,
true.
so domestic travel's up quite a bit. Travel numbers are high. People are staying more domestically this year. But where the best deals are is actually Canada. Because a lot less Canadians are coming to the U.S., we've seen huge drops in airfare. Granted, you still need a passport.
Yes.
But Vegas is big, Florida is big, and road trips are really big this year, too. Even though airfare has, on average, come down 7%. This is a great summer to fly.
Who came in last on your list? and
Oh,
why?
poor Frontier. Well, Frontier, I just have to call out, they bumped. So 17,000 passengers showed up to fly their Frontier flight last year, and
17,000.
Frontier said, you're not flying today. Delta only bumped
that's wild.
4.
Only bumped 4?
So Frontier, get your act together and stop stranding.
Rooting for you, Frontier.
Wow.
Brian Kelly, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Well, anyone who's flown knows some airlines go the extra mile and others not so much. So which one should you pick when you're booking that summer trip? Earlier on CBS Mornings, the results of the Points Guy's 9th annual Best Airlines report were revealed. Topping the list for the 7th straight year is Delta, followed closely by United. Southwest, Alaska, and Hawaiian Airlines round out the top 5. And here now with more on that and last-minute travel ideas, the Points Guy founder and CEO Brian Kelly. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Got a lot of summer travel coming up, so I've got my note cards ready.
Yes.
Let's talk about those rankings. I mean, what would you say separates Delta and United? Because you do have a formula behind all of this.
We have a formula. We use lots of data. This isn't just us sticking our finger up in the air and kind of playing favorites. We look at reliability first and foremost, because with airfare, you need to get to where you're going. So Delta scores really strongly there, even with their meltdown last summer. But also passenger experience. Delta's an innovator. You know, free Wi-Fi, lots of entertainment choices, Shake Shack burgers now in flight. And then also cost and reach. Cost, Delta didn't score so high because Delta does have a premium. And then, of course, we're the points guy, so loyalty. So we like to look at that. You know, is this, you know, what airlines are actually giving back to consumers, letting families sit together for free, and just have generally positive consumer approach.
I want to talk about the back half of the list a little bit because JetBlue, I like JetBlue, but it seems like it might be slipping a little bit. It's at number 6. And then American, which is a big carrier, at 7.
Yeah, American was our biggest drop. And, you know, they're one of the big 3. So it's really these days, United and Delta. United's really trying to come and knock Delta out of that number 1 spot. I think United still has something to, work to do in flight. Their food is known to be terrible, and they need to up that game a little bit, in my opinion. But American has been lagging in profit, results, management. They really, and also, baggage. They're the worst for missed bags. So they got dinged heavily for that, misplacing mobility devices. So for passengers who have wheelchairs.
Whoa.
So they really did get dinged. They need to turn that around before they can move back up in the rankings. Though they do have a good loyalty program. I'll give them that.
You mentioned JetBlue. I have a French bulldog. He was fat shamed, so he's not.
Okay, then.
With this ranking.
That data point alone should knock them down at least one more.
But they do have a partnership with United. Do you think that's going to help them?
Yeah, and just to remind everyone, these results are from 2024 data. So this year, partnerships like United and JetBlue, which is launching later this year, that could help both of those airlines, especially in the loyalty category, but also the reach. United has an incredible route network. They just started flying to Greenland this week. So teaming up with JetBlue, I think, could help both airlines in these rankings.
Our senior producer, Matt Shelley, does not like to fly. And he has a question he's written in here as senior producer. What do you recommend to people who don't like to fly?
I have a whole chapter of that in my book, How to Win at Travel. There are a lot of different techniques that you can do. There's something called Dial a Pilot. So identifying why you're afraid to fly. Some people just don't understand, the notion of flying through the sky. So you can actually pay to talk to a live pilot. There's tapping techniques that you can do with therapists, hypnosis.
He's not a fearful, he just doesn't like it. What's the best airline?
Okay, I have the answer. Then he needs to use his points to fly first class. I'm telling you, a lot of people are afraid of flying economy, but once you start laying flat with champagne and movies, there are often flights on Emirates where I'm like, let's take this baby around. Let's get going.
Over there already?
Yeah.
Okay. That's amazing. Brian Kelly, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.